Have you ever wanted to see your ideas in a Mario game? Today, I turn art sent by viewers into custom enemies using a fan-made game called Mario Singleverse. After each one, I'll give myself a score based on how my version turns out. So this is a public demo of a great fan-made project called Mario Multiverse. It's got this really cool feature where you can create your own custom enemies. Right here, I can create my own pixel art, and over here, I can change the properties of what the enemy can do. This viewer sent me a Mario fused with a piranha plant thing. Seems like a fun challenge, let's do it. To save myself some space on the pixel art, I'm going to use the pipe that's on the ground and not draw an extra one. Since the drawing looked a little bit blocky, I decided to give Mario a squarish head. I also thought it would be cool to make the vine of the piranha plant blue like Mario's overalls and give him the yellow buttons to make it more obvious that it is a Mario plant. I made the Mario plant act like a nipper plant so it wouldn't move but it could still jump. I made this cursed jump animation where his mouth opens up and his eyes get all bloodshot that I think looks hilarious. I changed the jump behavior to always jump when Mario does to add some more challenge. I decided the Mario plant hurls fireballs at Mario, so next I need a throw animation. I made his eyes turn orange and his vine hands look fiery, and now things are looking great. Moving on to the actual fight, I wanted Mario to have to dodge the Mario plant and get a super leaf, but after many attempts, it really didn't feel great. Instead, I made a little area above with a tanuki suit and a vine to climb up. Mario has to pass the deadly imposter plant to crawl his way up, become a raccoon man, and whip the enemy for victory. I give this one 4 cursed Marios out of 5. The next idea is this angry controller enemy with wings. I found this add wing button, and I originally wanted to just hit it so I wouldn't have to draw them. It was really tough to fit every detail into the small amount of pixels, so I did my best to make it feel as close to the original art as I could. I had finished the entire pixel art and pressed the wing button, and it didn't work. Back to the drawing board we go. This enemy gives me Hammer Bro vibes, so I'm using that as a base. I don't want the controller to be able to get stomped, so I made him immune to the plumber's feet. I messed around with the frequency of hammers and accidentally found some ridiculous stuff that was truly Mario's nightmare. I found the right amount of hammers and things seemed way more manageable. I noticed I could add a specific sprite for when Mad Controller jumps, so I got to work making one. I came up with one that turned out really cool in game, so I stuck with it. For the throwing animation, I didn't have any great ideas, so I decided to just rotate it 90 degrees to see what it would look like, thinking that it would be really stupid. Honestly, I kind of liked it, so we're gonna stick with it. For the battlefield, I made an area with a moving platform the Mad Controller can jump up and down from, but it moves left and right, so it adds some variety to the fight. I placed a hammer suit over here, so Mario needs to dodge hammers and get across before powering up. I added a wall and gave Mario wall jump abilities too, because why not? I tested about 20 times and couldn't figure out why Mario kept losing, but it was because I forgot to change this property that lets the Mad Controller take damage from hammers. With one simple change, we're ready to witness the epic battle between Mario and the Mad Controller. Mario slips by the insane controller and becomes a Hammerman himself. And Mario, even though he took damage, finally defeats the Mad Controller and moves on. I give this one 4 happy controllers out of 5. A viewer sent me this Hammer Kirby kind of guy. When making the pixel art, it was tough to make sure I left enough room for everything, so I started with those hammer arms first. I eventually came up with this round yellow guy and was ready to give it some moves. I wanted it to swing the hammers to hit Mario, but that seemed really hard to animate, so I looked for some settings to mess with instead. Since it's a ball enemy, I messed with the rolling settings and it was silly in the perfect way. I need more time to get better at making sprites, so for now the rolling is great. Now we will name this enemy Rolly. I like the idea of Rolly dropping bombs as it rolls, so I gave him huge bomb weapons. I changed it so Mario can't jump on Rolly, and he has no power-up to help him out either. I beefed up Rolly to withstand 3 hits and forced Mario to use those giant bombs as ammo to damage it. I kept the arena basic, but using ice blocks can actually trap Rolly until the bombs destroy the walls. As the fight goes on, the arena gets bigger and things get more dangerous for Mario. This fight ended up being super fun and simple, but I still have a lot to learn. I give this one 3 upside down bombs out of 5. For the next idea, a viewer wanted something similar to those sleeping Goombas in Mario Wonder, but instead of just waking up and walking normally, this one becomes mad. I started by making the pixel art of the sleepy square and love how derpy it looks. It was easy to draw this one since it's very blocky, and I even animated it moving up and down as if it was snoring. I made this enemy static so it can't move, but I really wanted to figure out how to turn it into an angry enemy after it gets stomped. After messing around with some settings, I found this one that transforms the enemy. Basically, I'm able to have different phases of the enemy based on if something specific happens. For this case, I made it so any damage from Mario would make the Sleepy Square morph into Angry Square. I used the source art that the viewer sent me and added some simple animations to make it look like the Angry Square is running fast to catch Mario. I thought it'd be fun to make Angry Square really fast and scary to run from. But because at the end of the day it's still just a Goomba variation, I made it so Mario can stomp on it to squish Angry Square. I love the weird mushroom power-up from Mario Maker, so I gave that to Mario for this fight. I made a simple arena with spikes that Angry Square can run over, but Mario would get hurt from. Instead, he can jump on top of these blocks to survive and find the perfect time to attack. With a tactical bounce, Mario defeats the square who just wanted some rest. I give this one 5 two-dimensional cubes out of 5. A viewer sent in this cool bread enemy with blue all around it. It might just be the sky, but since everyone loves wet toast, I want it to become a water enemy. First, I had to figure out how to fill up the screen with water. Then, we created the art for our water bread. To match the original art, I gave him little punching hands, small feet, and an unimpressed expression on his face. Looking at him gave me the idea for the perfect name, Soggy. I started with a blooper as the base for this enemy and changed the properties so Mario can't just stomp on it to kill it. I tried to add wings to see what it would do, but they just slipped right off of him. I guess he's too soggy for wings? Next, I used the mirroring tool to make a simple animation while he's moving. I also added tiny bubbles in the pixel art to help Soggy feel more like he's meant to be swimming around underwater. The blooper movement made this enemy so annoying, so I swapped to a cheap movement to make it a bit more predictable. For the fight itself, I wanted to use some elements we don't have in Mario Maker 2, so I gave Mario a penguin suit and experimented with this Bowser block. The block instantly kills Mario regardless of his power-up, so I had an idea for a high-stakes maze. I thought it'd be cool to use a POW block to defeat the water bread, but it was not fun, and it was actually super frustrating, so I had to come up with something else. I settled on placing a bubble flower at the end of the maze to give Mario something to fight back. In the epic showdown, Penguin Mario swims through the maze without touching death cubes and uses ice balls to freeze Soggy. Soggy doesn't take damage from this ice, but it preserves him in place and gives Mario time to swim to the end of the maze. Mario devours the bubble flower, hunts down Soggy, and turns him into a moldy but delicious coin. I give this creation 5 wet sandwiches out of 5. This art is so cool but has so many details I know will be tricky. This enemy is based on an octopus that uses lightning-based attacks. Drawing it was pretty tough, but I think mine's pretty close, and I even captured that Birdo-like nose. I made this enemy stay in one place in the air to start. I was so excited to give Shoctopus lightning elements, but when I looked through the program, I couldn't find anything. I checked all the enemies to see if they had amps or those Sumo Bros that kick lightning down, but nothing was there. Then I checked power-ups hoping for something lightning-based, but I found nothing. So Shoctopus now uses ice attacks. I've decided the lore is that it just wants to trick Mario into thinking it uses lightning, but really, it's an icy enemy. Anyway, I animated the movement by moving the tentacles and added a throw animation with the Birdo mouth by making it open up a bit wider when it launches ice. I also kept a nod to the original idea by making Shoctopus's eyes turn into lightning bolts when it shoots the ice as well. While experimenting with the fight, I figured out that Mario could freeze Shoctopus to drop it down onto the ground, and this gave me an idea. I made a pit with lava and had Shoctopus patrol the skies. Mario jumps up and over the clouds to get an ice flower, chooses the perfect moment to attack, and drops Shoctopus into the lava, which for some reason makes it fly off the screen never to be seen again. I'm happy with what I made, but because I couldn't give it any lightning attacks, I give my version 3.5 Birdo mouths out of 5. Some of the artwork viewers sent was a bit strange. So our next one is a Koopa Troopa with big muscly arms, and the viewer straight up said, your video had to get weird at some point. So let's get weird. I have no idea how I'm going to make him seem buff and have these human feet poking out of shoes, but I give it my best shot. I came up with this flexing guy who I will henceforth name Chad. I put Chad in game and made him large. I created a walking animation by copying the default sprite and mirroring it. For a simple arena, I made some moving platforms and added some spike traps that Mario needs to avoid. I made it so Chad can jump high, move fast, and chases Mario. Because Chad is so aggressive, I give Mario 3 health to give him a fighting chance. I mean, you can tell Mario skips leg day, so he needs all the help he can get. Mario begins the battle against Chad. He dodges pointy ground, jumps gracefully, and stomps Chad 3 times to defeat the muscly turtle. I give myself 3 beefy Koopas out of 5 for this one. This drawing looks like a snail slingshot type of character. For some reason, I forgot to record the process of me making the art for this one, but this is what I came up with. Because this snail has spikes on his shell, I changed it so that Mario gets damaged if he tries to jump on top of it. The artist wanted Mario to be able to pull this handle to launch it, kind of like these rever guys in Mario Wonder, but unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to make that happen. I still like the slinging idea, so I named this enemy Slingy. But instead of Mario slinging the snail, now the snail is gonna sling shells at Mario. I changed the behavior so that the shells Mario throws at Slingy only knock it back and don't damage it. That's really cool, but right now Mario has no way to defeat it, so I need to come up with something. I added a pit for the enemy to fall into and made sure it didn't just walk off the edge on its own. My first idea is to use shells that Mario throws to push Slingy into the void, but Slingy has other plans. Nope. I tried different ideas for 30 minutes, like letting Mario pick up shells to throw and even making a pathway underneath for shells to attack, but none of that worked. Eventually, I gave Mario a boomerang flower so he can use boomerangs that can push back Slingy but not damage him. If Mario's not careful though, his boomerangs can pull Slingy the snail towards him and he can take damage. Mario needs to use the boomerang at the right time to push Slingy toward the pit until he knocks him off for good. I give this one 4 Garys out of 5. It's time to make a mutated cosmic clone nicknamed Catastrophe by the artist. The drawing seemed simple enough, but it ended up being harder to recreate than expected. I kept running out of space on his head to make everything detailed, so I had to start over a lot of times. I eventually got something that looked pretty cool and was ready to work on its abilities. Since clones in Mario Wonder can hover now, I wanted to give this one a flying ability. I had it follow the player's every move like a homing bullet bill. It works now, but needs additional sprites to bring it to life. I changed the eyes to red and added an X on its body, kind of as a warning to the player that this thing is not friendly. I beefed up the clone by making it big and giving it enough health to survive 4 hits. I increased the speed so it would keep up with Mario's every move. When I tested it, for some reason the clone didn't turn and face Mario. So next, I copied the 2 poses I made and mirrored them. Now the animation alternates between all 4 sprites, and I sped it up until I was happy with the overall flow. For the arena, I felt like it was an icy and ghostly airship, so I used block platforms. I added a bubble flower just for fun and had no idea if it would do anything. I made Mario battle the Catastrophe clone, but the bubble flower was absolutely useless against it. Mario had to evade and bonk the big fella on the head 4 times to win. I give this one 3.5 useless bubbles out of 5. Our next drawing looks like a Goomba spider. I have no idea how I'm going to fit all those eyes in here. Gooba, the Goomba spider, is ready. On testing, it looks odd because it just slides across the screen. I made him a bit faster and then looked to make him more unique. I created a jump sprite and a walking sprite, but I ran out of space on the side so they don't look as clean as I'd hoped. I made him bounce and jump up high as he goes across the screen towards Mario. Instead of a normal Goomba, I increased the health to make it so Mario needs to jump on Gooba twice to defeat it. I was excited to try different things for Gooba's arena, but when I tried to save my work, the application crashed and I lost everything. Instead of cutting this out of the video like most people would, I want us to take this moment to remember Gooba. Type in the comment section, RIP Gooba, lost but not forgotten. This one gets a measly 2.5 spider eyes out of 5. To see how I made enemies into bosses in Mario Wonder, click on the screen right now. I'm Arrowstotle, and thanks for watching.